Welcome back, guys. This is Thomas, and Marvel Studios just released Thunderbolts in theaters, and I had the awesome opportunity of being an extra in that film. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through what does it mean to be an extra, especially in a big movie like a Marvel movie, and walk you through the process in case being an extra is something that you've ever wanted to try out. And don't worry, spoiler free. I'm not going to be sharing any spoilers about the film or secrets, so no worries about that. So first, how did I get a chance to be an extra? I think in most cases you have to be part of a talent agency or get an invite. I had an invite, so of course I was going to jump at the opportunity because for me it was a once in a lifetime opportunity to be in a Marvel film. I thought it would be super cool, and I had the available time to go take a trip. So I invited a friend of mine as well, so we both took the time off and drove from Florida to Georgia to go to the movie studios where we would film for a day or two. Now, before you even start making the trip to be an extra, there are a few things you have to do. Being an extra is a job, so like any job, you do have to fill out some paperwork. Paperwork I remember filling out was a criminal background check, make sure you're not deviant. And then also you did have to fill out some tax papers. This is for your payment, because like any job, you are getting paid. How much you get paid, I'll share that towards the end of the video. So after you filled out your application, your background check, your tax papers, then they send you a bunch of information of what you need to know about being an extra. And this packet includes how long you're going to be on set, where to go, what time you should arrive, what to wear, how to act. All of these things are covered in that packet of information. First, let's talk about the where and when. There was a date that was selected. It was about a year ago today that we were filming this particular scene, and it was in Georgia. So we had to drive from Orlando to Atlanta to get to the film set. The call time was at 5 a.m., so we were there super early, and you were on the hook for your own accommodations. So we got a hotel. Luckily, we didn't have to rent a car because we were just driving from one state to the next. But in some cases, I'm assuming if you're traveling to be an extra, all of your travel accommodations are on you. There is sections of information that tell you, how to act. And really that is just to make sure that you don't get starstruck when you're in front of a high profile celebrity, right? We were all there as professionals. So it's really just reassuring that you are heading on set as a working professional and you're not going to be asking for autographs or photos, especially with those big name actors. The next bit of information that I found super interesting is that they send you a whole chart of how to dress. I guess I never thought about how extras dress when they're on set for a movie. If you're in a big epic movie like Lord of the Rings, you're probably going to get sent to wardrobe, get suited in some sort of night outfit, but this called for civilian wear, which was pretty easy for me. I had enough plain t-shirts, jeans, and that fit the description of what they sent for what to wear. To give you an idea of what that is like, they send you pictures of people in different outfits. There's people in business attire, so if you wanted to wear a suit, a dress, if you wanted to carry a briefcase, then you would be part of a business person look. If you wanted to just be casual civilian, which is what I chose to do, I wanted to be comfortable. It's Georgia. I didn't know if it'd be hot or cold. I chose to wear a neutral t-shirt, some blue jeans, and then I wore an overshirt, like a button-down green Navy shirt that I got at Old Navy for $15. So I really didn't have to spend much money on wardrobe. So not only do they send you what types of outfits you can wear, so I mentioned business attire, casual. They also have a college look where you can wear your different college logos on it. So the film is based in New York, so if you had an NYU sweater, a shirt, you could wear that. And they also do go into accessories, coffee cups, briefcases, backpacks, all things like that, as long as it fits within the neutral color palette that they send you. Now they do ask you to bring another outfit in case when you show up and your outfit is not matching what they're looking for. This way you can do a quick change and then you just have some variety there. So pretty cool. I had my outfit on that I wore, and then I went ahead and just had a backpack with my other outfit in case what I was wearing wasn't acceptable. Other things they tell you to bring a chair. You are on a studio lot and sometimes seating is limited, but they also tell you to bring a book. You are not allowed to have your cell phone out, so that is something you want to make sure that you're following the rules so you don't get kicked off the studio. And they also tell you to bring plenty of water. So you're going to be moving around. You don't know what the temperature is going to be like, so just make sure that you bring plenty of water and make sure you're covered there. So I filled out my paperwork. I took the drive to Georgia with my friend. We both had our outfits. We were good to go. Stayed up in a nice hotel the night before, and then we had to be up by 5 a.m. to be at the studio. So what happens when you actually get to the studio? So you check in at the security gate with your credentials that were sent to you previously, and you park in the studio. And it's kind of weird because it's super dark at the time. You're in this strange empty lot, and there's all these other people parking, and we just kind of followed the crowd. So when we walk into the building, you do check in with someone that is in charge of all the extras. So we got to know them throughout the day. They were really awesome, really helpful. And what they're doing is they're checking you in, but then they are also kind of looking at what you're wearing. If you are wearing something and you need to be sent to wardrobe, there's a section that's like off to the side where you kind of go in, you look at the different outfits, and then someone can help you pick something else to wear. If your outfit is good to go, then you really just go to a holding area where you wait to be called to go out to the set. And being in the holding area was cool because you got to meet other people that were doing extra work. Some people were doing it for fun. Some people, this was their full-time career, and there was really no age or demographic that was left out. I felt like there was people that were super young, college age. There was people that were retired that were doing this for fun. They just happened to live in the local area, so this is just what they do. I found that super interesting. Now, while you are in the holding area, you do have to put your cell phone in a plastic bag, and it does have to go to this one desk. If you want to use that cell phone, you would just go request it from the person working the desk. They would give you your cell phone, and then you had to sit in a very particular area of the holding area. There was like a cell phone section only to make sure that nobody was taking any unlicensed, unofficial pictures on set. Now, I brought snacks, I brought plenty of water, but one thing I didn't realize is that there's catering, which was awesome. In the morning, there was a whole breakfast buffet. I thought that was super cool. Most people, if you've been an extra, you probably know this already, but that was pretty much a surprise to me. So I was pretty excited to see that. I didn't want to eat too much because I was a little nervous, but it was just nice that they had a spread there for breakfast with coffee and juice and all the food you can think of. So that was a nice surprise. So we were holding there for a little while, and then finally it was time for them to bring us out to the set. And this is probably where my nervousness really kicked in, but it was a long walk from the holding area to where the actual filming was happening. And from the holding area to the set, there were some interesting things that I observed. So as you're walking to the set, there is a prop master and a tent. And for the extras, if you wanted to grab an accessory that matched your character, you could do that. So if you were in business attire, you didn't bring a briefcase, they had briefcases there. They had bags of food in case you just bought something from the deli, coffee cups, fake phones that wouldn't work, so you could just hold them up to your face. So that was pretty cool. I didn't grab anything because I was afraid of losing it, and I didn't want to be on the hook for losing a prop, but that was something that was there that I thought was pretty neat. You had to sign your name and then sign it back in at the end of the night. And when you finally do get on set, it is pretty cool. So as a diorama builder, I'm building these miniature sets with foam, and I saw large blocks of foam, and I knew immediately that was being used for debris or rubble, because right next to it they would have debris pieces. So it was just pretty cool to see, like, doing this in my garage with foam at such a small scale. That's where it probably originates from, right? These people that do it for movie making magic, and I thought that was super cool. So then you do go off to this other holding area that you're basically just being held there until it's time to film. And they already had chairs there, but I'm glad I brought my own chair. And they also had snacks. So I brought my own snacks, I brought my own water, but they had all that covered. So if you were worried about not bringing your water and being thirsty, I mean, there was the buffet in the morning, and then there was snacks. So you were definitely not gonna leave that place hungry, which I thought was nice of them. So we held there for about 15 minutes, and then some of the set coordinators came out and started to divide the extras. I think it was by outfit. I don't think they wanted too many people of the same kind of look to be in the area. So if you were wearing business attire, they didn't want you with all the people wearing suits. They kind of mixed you up. So it was a mixture of people wearing suits, people in casual attire, people in the collegiate attire, all kind of mixed in, and then they would corral you. and then they finally brought us to the actual set. So when you're looking at the back of a set, it's pretty much just plywood and scaffolding. But once you turn the corner and we got to the actual set that we were filming, I knew exactly what we were looking at. So I haven't always been from Florida. I'm from New York City, and when we stepped onto the set, I felt like I was in New York City. They built 2 whole city blocks that I was very familiar with, where the Avengers Tower is in the MCU. Avengers Tower actually is where the MetLife Tower is, sort of next to this Grand Central Station, and that's where the scene that we were filming was, and you could see a lot of that in the trailer, so this is not a spoiler or a secret. But one thing I found super interesting is that they only build up to the 2nd story. When you're watching a film and you see all those buildings, at least in this case, all of the stories from floors 3 and up were all CG. So walking onto a movie set of a place that I've walked through my entire life, and to see it recreated in a place where it shouldn't be, was just super surreal and awesome to see. But I think that's where I nerded out more than actually seeing celebrities, but we'll get to that. So then we went to our next holding area, which was basically sitting in front of a deli that was recreated. And you're going to notice a pattern. There is a lot of walking and holding and waiting, and that is just part of the course for the day of being an extra. And the short times that you do film, it's maybe 30 minutes at a time, and then you're told to go back and wait. And that's just how it is. They have to move stuff on set until they're ready for the shot, and that was just kind of interesting to see the process. So we hung out at this deli for a while until it was time for actual filming. At that point, the set coordinators, they will get the extras and start spreading them out throughout the set. So when the set coordinator told me where to stand, just to give you an example, I stood on the side of a building and they said, when you hear this sound, you're going to take about 20 feet forward, you're going to look surprised, and you're going to look up. Those were just some of the cues that they would give you. And we did that maybe about 10 times. And it was just cool to be doing that. I was in musical theater in high school, so I remember the repetitiveness of it. But to actually do it in a movie was really strange and fun at the same time. One thing that was super interesting, and I never even thought about this, but there are extras that are actually in vehicles. So these are people that sign up to be a car extra. I don't know if they call it that, but my first cue was to be on the side of the building. That meant that the driver extra cue was to be in position A, and then as they call action, all that person does is advance to position B. And they do that all day. So they pull up to the position on action. When they call cut, they move back and they just wait. So that was pretty cool to see. If you ever see cars in movies, especially for some kind of continuity, that's how they're doing it. And I'm sure it's not the same on every set, but that's how it was on this set. So that was pretty interesting. So now let's talk about some of the celebrity talent. This is something that was not new to me. I've worked in theme parks since I've lived in Orlando, and celebrities come there in and out, and you know how to act when you're with a celebrity. You don't want to be in their face, especially if they're there for work. You're there for work as well. But you had the 5 main characters walking around, like normal. And what was really interesting is that before they even stepped on set, they either had their stunt doubles or lookalikes. They would stand in position so that the filmmakers could get the blocking. And they would do that for about 45 minutes, get the blocking, get the shot they want, and then it wasn't until they were ready to actually film where then they would swap out the body doubles or the lookalikes out with the real actors. So that was pretty interesting to see. On the particular day that I was filming, I was on set with Red Guardian, Winter Soldier, Ghost, Yelena, and US Agent. So all seemed pretty nice. I didn't have much interaction with them, but like I said, you would really only see them once they were ready to shoot. As soon as they got their shot, they were back off set, and pretty much all the coordinators were figuring out where they were going to do their next shot. After about maybe 2 hours of doing the same scene, then they were ready to film a different scene. And this was pretty fun because now we were ready to film sort of a destruction scene. So again, no secrets. If you watch the trailer, you can see what I'm talking about. But they were using all the same extras from the scene before. So a lot of us had to get dusted. So we would go to a costume coordinator, I'm assuming, from wardrobe, and they had this little, it looked like a perfume bottle, but it didn't have perfume in it. It had some sort of powder. You would put some on your hair, on your clothes, just to make it look like you were in the middle of rubble. And this was really the second part of the day, so a lot of what we filmed on that second part of the day, everyone was covered in this dust because you had to look like you were in the fallout of the debris. So that was kind of fun, where I felt like, wow, I'm in a movie, I'm getting makeup, but it was really just some sort of white powder that washed off all my clothes by the end of the day. So that was really cool. Something else that was really interesting is that when we were in a scene with the actors, watching them interact with the director. The actual actors came out and they're talking about what they're going to do in the scene. They're talking about how they're going to move. As the extras, you just kind of sit there, watch and listen. And what was interesting is that the director said, okay, this is what we're going to do. And the interesting part was seeing that the actors have some say. So one of the actors said, I think in this scene, the characters should be doing this. And then the director was like, yeah, that makes sense. So seeing the collaboration, that part was also really neat. And it was just kind of cool to be on the sidelines, kind of paying attention and then watch them work the scene with the suggestions. So it's not all about the director barking orders. It is a collaboration between everyone on set. So all in all, that was the filming experience, and I thought it was really cool. Now, just a heads up, it is a super long day. So you are there on your feet for a long time. So if you're ever going to do something like this, just kind of be prepared. You are going to be working. We met some really cool people. One thing I noticed, like I said before, some people are trying to be a professional actor. Some people are just doing this because they're retired and they just want to have fun. I saw a lot of students. So on our off time, I saw a lot of students working on homework. What a dream job to do if you're still in school. You want to finish some homework, you just go to the set, get some work done, get called up for filming, go back, finish your work. So about time you go home, not only did you get to work all day, but you also got to finish your assignment. Something else that I had the opportunity to do is that they were asking people's permission if they wanted to be full body scanned, and I jumped at the opportunity. So my likeness could be used in future films as an extra. I thought, I'm probably never going to do this again. What the heck? It'll be pretty cool, even if it's 30 years down the road from now, to see me, my face, or my body in a movie, and I can say, oh, that was when I was 30 years younger. I thought it was a cool opportunity. It's a little controversial because some people don't want to do it because, in the end, it might take work away from other actors. Hopefully it doesn't, but for me, it was a cool opportunity, so I was going to jump at it. I also forgot to mention that they did provide lunch as well. So in the middle of the day, you break, there was another spread. I think we had fajitas, so not too shabby. Breakfast, snacks, and lunch, not a bad day at work. So as the day's winding down, all of the extras have to drop their props back off at the tent. You head back to the holding area that you started the day in, and then you check out. We were supposed to go for another day of shooting, however the weather was bad, so we only got to do that one day. Holistically, as an experience, it was really cool. I'm not gonna lie, being on set, seeing the actors work and just getting to meet different people, that was probably one of the most fun opportunities. I'm glad I got to take my friend with me. I think we both got a big kick out of it. And I think these are kind of unsung heroes. There are coordinators that strictly work with the extras. There are people wrangling these extras all the time. And not all extras, but some extras do think they are the star of the show. So I think these set coordinators do a really good job of balancing different personalities. Some people are just there for a good time. Other people are there thinking that they are the star. So you're going to run into that. We went, got our things, grabbed our cell phones, and then that was it. That was our filming experience. So just to wrap it up, got to bring my friend so he can share in the experience with me. Cool to be on set with the setting and the actors and the other extras. And then it was just a fun road trip. So, once in a lifetime opportunity. Maybe I'll have the chance to do it again, but for me, I wanted to check that box and I thought it was pretty cool. The next day, since our second day of filming was canceled, we drove from Atlanta back to Orlando and we just talked about the experience the whole time. So it was really fun because my friend was sometimes in a different section, so he saw different things than I saw. And that was just cool sharing that memory. So fast forward a couple weeks later, I got my paycheck. And what did I get paid? Keep in mind, I was there from 5 a.m. till 8 p.m. And in total, I got paid $180. So it's not a lot of money. In my head, I kind of equate it to once in a lifetime opportunity. It's not my full-time job. It was a great time. So $180 to go do that, awesome. So next time you see an extra in a movie, just know they're grinding. They're trying to make it. So good luck to them. They're really trying to do their thing, and I hope they do. Fast forward to a year later, me and my friend that went to be extras, we got a group of friends, we went to the movies, and it was fun to kind of like look for the scene where we might have been in. I didn't see myself, but I didn't care because it was still just a good time. I think my friend saw himself, so that's cool. I'm just excited for it to be on Disney Plus so I can keep pausing it to see if I was in this one little scene. I think you may have saw me, but I'm not sure. But either way, it was a cool opportunity. So that's it, folks. That was my day in the life as an extra. Once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't know if I'll get to do that again, but it was a great time, and I got to bring a buddy along. So for me, it was just super exciting. And that's all I got, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Very different from anything I've ever done. And until the next episode, we'll catch you next time.